Hey everyone, it's vmcampos, Magic fan, Magic Arena fan. I'm here to show you how to build your very own original Magic Arena deck. Be sure to check the description for chapter stops, deck lists, links, and more. Now, I've been playing Magic on and off since the 90s, so I've accumulated a lot of knowledge that I'd love to pass on to you. This video is intended for beginner to intermediate players, and advanced players. I'd love for you to chime in on the comments. Some caveats. This video will probably not result in a top-tier diamond level deck. I cannot guarantee that you'll win match after match. That takes years of practice, trial and error, and a little bit of luck. What I can guarantee you 100% is that you'll have a better understanding of creating a deck in Arena or in real life, and I can guarantee you 1000% you'll have fun and learn something. Not guaranteed by any entity or organization. So in this video I'm going to focus on players who have used Arena for a little while. It's not a step zero guide. It's not going to show you what all of these buttons mean really. It's not really an intro to Arena. Check my other videos for that. This video assumes you're familiar with the interface, you've played a few games, you've used the filters and search feature, maybe bought a pack, and know how to add or remove cards to a deck. Let's get started. So I've got the latest build of Arena, 910, and as you can see up here, I've got a little bit of gold, 15,150 gold pieces. I got that by doing the daily challenges every single day. Don't skip those. They really work. If you pick a pre-made deck and try to get that gold, even if you lose the game, you learn something important. How the cards interact, which cards and archetypes you like. You get about 1,000 gold per day, so this is about 2 weeks of grinding. But I don't think of it as grinding. I think it's fun and valuable to play every day. After all, you need gold to buy booster packs or enter events. But in this video, we're going to be focusing more on spending the gold on booster packs. But I'll get back to that. When you want to get the gold quickly, I recommend playing competitively. Now, if you've still got this toggle switch set to basic mode, make sure to switch it over to advanced mode, because then you'll get even more play modes over here. So I recommend playing in competitive play. This will allow you to pick from your decks, and right now I've only got the pre-made, the pre-con deck, the pre-constructed decks. This will let you play with those decks, and that's going to be best of 3. So you're going to be playing at least 2 matches versus 1 person, and earning the gold a little faster that way. Maybe you'll also get a little practice in adding cards, removing cards, and sideboarding. We'll get to what sideboarding is a little later. You'll also notice that I've got wildcards. In my case, 6 common, 6 uncommon, 4 rare, and 2 mythic rare. You'll probably have more or less than this. These are the building blocks of a deck. You get them randomly from opening boosters. They fill a gauge. You can see that over here. As you open boosters, you get uncommon wildcards, and then rare wildcards, and then mythic rare wildcards. You also get these wildcards simply from opening boosters. When you buy a booster and open it, it could randomly have a wildcard. What's great about them is that you can exchange a wildcard of a rarity level for another of the same rarity. So if I wanted one more Ajani's Welcome, I would exchange an uncommon wildcard for it. It's pretty easy. I won't do it yet, but you would click on it. You would be able to get the 4th Ajani's Welcome by trading in 1 uncommon wildcard. And it's uncommon because you can see here the silver icon on the card. This one's a common card. This is a rare card. This is a mythic rare card. So as you can see here, I have these many to exchange. If you don't have enough of a wild card, just keep grinding, completing your daily challenges, getting that gold, and cracking packs. Here's a pro tip. When you buy boosters, buy a booster from the set where the card is the one you want. If you really need that great Boros card, you'll want a Guilds of Ravnica. If you want a great legendary creature, probably Dominaria. So go with the set where you want the card, because you might get it as you crack the packs, or you'll get the wildcards to help you get that particular card. Alright, so in order to build our decks, let's go over to the decks screen. First of all, I'm going to look at the collection to talk a little bit in theory. We're going to talk about the B.R.E.A.D theory. This comes from an article from Melissa DeTora, former Magic Pro, current Magic employee. Think about it, she rose from the ranks of Magic, and now she actually helps create the next generation of Magic cards. She's living the dream. In her article, check the link in the description, she talks about using the B.R.E.A.D theory for drafting, which will apply for us here as well in a constructed deck. But that's basically B.R.E.A.D, B for bombs, R removal, E evasion, A aggro, and D, dang, your deck is amazing, actually stands for duds. B are cards that are your bombs. These are your spells or creatures that once they come into the battlefield, they go off and they'll devastate your opponent if they can't deal with it. Perhaps a 6/6 flying and trampling creature? There are many types of bombs. Perhaps a creature that gets stronger the more islands you have? Next up is R for removal. These are cards that remove your opponent's threats. This card, for example, when it's summoned, it forces their creature to be returned back to their hand, getting rid of it for a moment. Or maybe you can lock down a creature with this card so it doesn't attack you anymore. That's removal. Or maybe we'll do some good old damage. A lightning strike of 3 will take care of most threats. That's removal. Evasion are cards that help you avoid problems. This can be something as simple as flying on a creature, because it'll simply fly over your opponent's creatures. It can avoid problems. You also have something like Tactical Advantage, where target blocking or blocked creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You get a momentary buff on your creature that helps it avoid problems. We've also got evasion in terms of, here's an unblockable creature. And lastly, we've got D for duds. These are the creatures that are really not that good, or the spells that aren't that useful, that you should avoid putting in your deck. Sometimes it's hard to tell what a dud is. For example, is a 3/3 creature for 3 bad? We'll see. So that was B.R.E.A.D theory. We'll be on the lookout for each type of card as we build a deck. But where do we even start? With so many cards to choose from, it can get very overwhelming. Where do I even start? I'm going to use another article to help us get started here. Search YouTube or check the link in the description for How to Make a Magic Deck from Magic Arcanum. In that video, the author talks about you don't need to make a deck of 60 cards. You need to make a deck of 9 cards. First, you start with 24 lands, and we'll figure out the details of which lands soon enough. But set aside 24 lands in a 60-card deck. That means you have 36 slots left. Then you want to divide 36 by 4, and that leaves you 9. Why 4? You can have up to 4 of the same card in one deck. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. Therefore, you only need 9 unique cards in your deck, plus lands. There's still a lot of nuances to deal with, so let's keep going. So here's some tangible ways to get started. I'm going to go back to the main deck view and create a brand new deck. We'll give it a cool name later. But here's how I would start off. Go to the filter and select Mythic Rare Creature and leave it on Collected. We're going to look at what cards we currently have that are Mythic Rare. These are with the orange symbol. These are often bombs. These are often cards that your opponent will have a lot of trouble dealing with a 6/6 flying creature that lets you draw cards, a 3/3 flyer that can turn itself into a 5/5 and create more 4/4 flyers, a phoenix that just doesn't seem to die. These are bombs. So we're going to start building our deck with either Mythic Rare or Rare Creatures. So browse each of those filters. Maybe you want to whittle it down to a certain color that you like to play, but just browse and see what are rare and or mythic rare cards in a color that I own. How many do I own? Can I use any of them in a cool way in a deck? Maybe you don't know what combos and synergy you have yet, but at least here you're looking at cards that you're interested in. Maybe I'd like to use Demon Lord Belzenlock. Seems pretty powerful. I've only got one in my collection. I happen to have 2 mythic rares that I can exchange. Now the goal again is to get 4 of each of these 9 cards we're going to figure out together. So browsing around, I'll go with Mythic Rare. Let's see what I have here just with all of this. These are all of the possible colors of Mythic Rare creatures that I have. And I kind of like the Carnage Tyrant. Check him out. He's a 7/6 creature with trample and hexproof. He's got evasion built in. Hexproof. A player or permanent with hexproof can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So if your opponent has a spell that kills a creature, it won't affect this creature. If your opponent has a spell that will lock this creature down by tapping it, it won't work on it. It's protected. Plus it's got trample, so it'll run over any blockers and do damage directly to the opponent. I think I'm going to pick the Carnage Tyrant as my bomb. Now again, the theory then from Magic Arcanum is to have 4 of your 9 different cards. I've got 1 in my library and I've got 2 Mythic Wild cards, so I'm going to redeem 2 of them. First I'll click to add 1 to the deck. So it automatically added the 1 creature plus the appropriate lands. It'll auto add your lands, which we can change later. And look at that, 24 lands. So then I want to click on the symbol here to add another one. In my case, because I don't have any more in the collection, notice how these dots are empty, I will have to exchange a wild card. That's fine, I've got 1. And 1 more. So I've got 3 out of my 4 Carnage Tyrants. I need 1 more Mythic Wild card, and I'll show you how I'd go through the process of getting another one a little later. Let's say, okay, we'll put a pin on that. We need 1 more Carnage Tyrant. Let's see, what else can I do here? Well, if I'm going to go with green, next I'll switch up to show me green cards that are rare that I own. So I'm going to see a variety of things. Ooh, this Gigantosaurus might be fun in the deck. Maybe this other big old 8/8 creature. That's fun. Ooh, how about a 12/12? Well, in rare, I've got 4. So I could fill out the 3 that I'm missing with to get Galta. That might be cool. Well, let me change it like this. I'm going to search for anything that's a dinosaur. Not a lot to choose from here. So there's dinosaurs in white and red. So I'm looking around. Ooh, Zatalpa. This is a 4/8. And look at all of these abilities. Flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. This is amazing. Indestructible. This creature cannot be destroyed by spells that destroy creatures. It's going to fly. It's going to not tap because of vigilance. It's going to do double strike damage. That's crazy. Maybe I want to go for that one. But again, I've only got 1. I'd have to trade in more wild cards. Let me whittle it down a little bit. Let me go with 2 colors. Red and green are often good synergy. So Etali is pretty impressive too. That could be another bomb. But here's the great thing about Magic Arena. It's not just about the cards that you have, but as long as you've got wild cards, you can get any cards you want. So here's another trick. Let's go over to the filters and go over to not collected, and I'll turn off collected. So now this will show you every single possible Magic card that exists with the filters that you set up. It'll even show you cards that are banned. so no need to get those. But in these two colors that I'm thinking of going with, red and green, I have a bunch of dinosaurs that I could work with. So Ripjaw Raptor, I can draw cards when it gets damaged. Here's a 7/7. That gets stronger for every land I have. Wow, that's impressive. So again, changing the filters, putting in keywords. Maybe I want to work with vampires. Now there's no vampires really in red and green. Kazaroff is a black creature but with a red ability. So maybe search around for some keywords. I'm going to stick with dinosaurs for a moment. And as I browse around here, I see the Regisaur Alpha. This is a 5 casting cost creature, 3 generic mana, and 1 red and 1 green. You get a 4/4. Other dinosaurs you control have haste. So if I manage to summon my Regisaur before my Carnage Tyrant, as soon as the Tyrant comes into play, it can start attacking, because Reggie will give everything else haste. Plus, I'll get a free 3/3 Dino Buddy to join in, which has Trample. So I think I'm going to go with this as another bomb creature. And here I'm going to have to spend 4 rare wildcards. But I've got enough, so I'll go for it. So I'll click Confirm. And then now from over here I can simply add the next ones. So in this case, I've got the full playset of the Regisaur Alpha. I need one more for the full playset of Carnage Tyrant. We'll get back to that. And now it's automatically adding my mountains and forests in a ratio of 24. So we'll leave that for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to stick with red and green. And this time I'm going to switch over to Uncommon. Now I'm still looking at creatures, because one strategy is to have a majority of creatures in your deck and then add other types of spells. Now that may not be your playstyle. You may not want to play with creatures, you may want to play with other things, such as instants and sorceries. Well, that's fine, but you're still going to use the theory of get a play set and search for what you like. And again, I'll go back over here with, let's see what I've got already collected. And again, all that I've got collected here has come from the pre-made decks that have been given to me after, 2 weeks of grinding, and I'll be able to get more cards and wild cards from gold. But I see here, I already have a full playset of Charging Monstrosaur from the various pre-constructed decks that Magic gives you. So I'm going to add all 4 of those. So I've got several bomb cards so far. Let's jump over to A for Aggro. Aggro are cards that help me get to my bombs. So in red and green, I've got a couple of ways to quickly get to these bigger creatures. One of them is the good old Llanowar Elf. This is a creature that's been around since the very beginning of Magic, 25 years ago. And basically for 1 green mana, it gives me 1 green mana. So I play this on turn 1. Turn 2, I've already got 3 mana. If I played 1 forest first turn, 1 forest second turn, and the elf first turn. 3 mana, turn 2, I'm already ahead of my opponent. So this is part of Aggro to help accelerate me. So I'm going to add a full playset, as is our strategy of these elves. Now I've got the Dominaria printing or the M19 printing. Either or is fine, but my OCD tells me to get all 4 of the Dominaria printing. Alright, so far I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 unique cards and 15 cards in total. Now doing the research, there is another aggro card that will help me out. Now I don't have any of them collected yet. The Otepec Huntmaster. Dinosaur spells cost 1 less to cast. So this is great synergy. I'm putting together a dinosaur deck. I want to cast my dinosaurs faster. This shaman will reduce the casting cost of my dinosaurs. And if I tap him, he gives haste to the dinosaurs. So I want this for my deck. I want 4 of them. This will require 4 uncommon wildcards. And I currently have 6, so I can afford it. And lastly, there is another so-called mana dork. That is creatures that help you gain mana. Druid of the Cowl. She'll give you 1 green mana after you summon her to get to my big creatures even faster. I'll add a full playset there. I had all of those already in my collection because of the pre-constructed decks. But if I were missing any, I could trade wildcards. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Actually, 23. I'm missing one of the Carnage Tyrants. So I've almost got the full set of creatures that I want to have for this deck. Next, let's move over to R for removal. I need to remove threats. I need to protect my creatures and remove the threats of my opponent. Well, red is really good for dealing damage. So if I switch over the filter to instants and sorceries, in red I see a variety of ways to deal with my opponent's creatures or the opponent themselves. 2 damage directly, 3 damage, 5 damage. So I'm going to pick some removal in red. Lightning Strike. I've got a full play set of that. 3 damage to any target. That includes creature, player, or planeswalker. A very direct way to remove problems. So I'll add 4 of those. In green, I've got another bit of removal which is interesting. I want to remove flying creatures, but I can't assume that my opponent will have flying creatures, so these will go into the sideboard. Let me get back to that. In green, I've got Rabid Bite. For 2 mana, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So imagine sicking your charging Monstrosaur on your opponent's creature. It'll deal 5 damage to their creature, and then send it charging at them. Double trouble. So I'll add a playset there. And don't forget to read some of this flavor text. You should have seen the look on both their faces. More camp. Lamholt Innkeeper. Now, I've got creatures that will help ramp me to where I need to go. But I'm going to add one more bit of ramp, one more bit of aggro to help me get to what I need to. And that's found right over here. This is going to be an enchantment. There's an enchantment that will allow me my lands to generate more mana. Now this is an example of something that I don't have, so I'll switch over to Not Collected. And obviously I kind of have a plan of what I'm trying to put together, but you should be going through the different filters, turning them on and off, reading the cards, and just finding interesting things to play. The goal, of course, is 4 of each. And so what I want is New Horizons. This is an enchantment. It enchants a land. I can put a +1/+1 counter on a creature I control, so it'll make my dinosaurs stronger, or my mana dorks stronger. And then a land will have add 2 mana of any one color, so I can get to my big creatures even faster. So I want a full playset of that. And these are common, so I'll have to trade some common wild cards. Start with 1. And now that I own it, I can then add them here. I'm at 59 cards, so I'm just missing 1 more Carnage Tyrant. So once again, I'll get back to that one moment. Let me deal with my lands over here. If you look at the chart over here, this will tell you the ratio of your cards. I have mostly green cards versus red cards. My curve looks like this, where the average amount of mana I need is 3 lands. I should be able to get to that quickly because of ramp. I've got the playset of Land of War Elves, which will get me to 3 mana by turn 2. And then after that, more acceleration for my big creatures over here. I've got 23 creatures, 12 non-creatures, and 24 lands. So, to start off with, I would put an equal amount of lands. So that'd be 12 and 12. If you click on the name of the card, you can remove one, like this, or add it back. But I want to make my own mana mix, so I'm going to remove a forest. It'll confirm, do you want auto-suggest off? I'll say yes. I'll put 10 of each, and then I want 2 of the more special lands. Dual lands. Lands that produce 1 of 2 colors. So I'll switch over to the filters to show me lands. I'll go with collected first. So I see in red and green, Rootbound Crag and Timber Gorge that can produce mana of each of my colors. I have 4 of the Timber Gorge, which is land that enters the battlefield tapped. I would rather have Rootbound Crags. They enter the battlefield if you already control a mountain or forest, untapped. But I've only got 1 of those and I don't have enough wild cards, so I'll throw 1 in and then fill in the rest, 3 more special lands, to do 24 lands in total. So I need 1 more Mythic wildcard for my Carnage Tyrant. The deck is almost complete, so let's talk about Sideboard. The Sideboard is what you use in between matches in a best of 3 to deal with threats that you figure out per opponent. This is where I can add cards that deal with specific things that might be a problem to me. For example, flying creatures. Plummet will kill any flying creature, but I can't assume my opponent will have flying creatures, so I'll put him in the sideboard. So I'm going to add a play set. In my case, I've got 2 from Rivals of Ixalan and 1 from M19. So I won't use my wildcards for sideboard just yet, but I'd like 4 of those in total. Now, I also want to destroy enchantments, but I don't really have many options there. I've got most of them as uncollected, and the best one would be simply Naturalize. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Either of the art is cool. Broken Bond might even be better, because it lets me destroy an artifact or enchantment and then play another land. 2 lands per turn. But I would need wild cards for that, and I've only got 2 common ones. So I'd like to add some Naturalize or Broken Bonds. I'll put that on the to-do list. Let's say I need more removal. Shock is very good if I need to kill more of my opponent's creatures, so I'll put a playset of Shock in the sideboard. But sometimes these creatures of my opponents are a little stronger, so Fight with Fire will help with that. Deals 5 damage. Or, with Kicker, I can deal 10 damage to any target, including the opponent. So I'll add 2 of those, even though I want the full playset. So I've got 9 out of 15. I've got a few more things to add to the sideboard. But more importantly, I've still got 1 more item to add to my main deck. So now, it's time to start using gold. I'm going to click Done to save the deck I've currently got, and it'll give me a warning that I don't have enough cards just yet. That's fine, go ahead and save that. So I'm going to go over to the store, and I'm going to buy boosters. Again, buy the boosters from the set of the card you're trying to get. Now I'm going to go back, because I forgot the Carnage Tyrant is from what set? From Ixalan. Okay, so I'm going to go buy some Ixalan boosters. Switch over to Ixalan. There's 1,000. Let me buy 6 boosters for the moment. That'll be 6,000 gold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 boosters to choose from here. So in my case, if I open 6 boosters, I get 1 rare. I'll get some uncommons. And maybe I'll get it just by cracking them. So let's see what comes out. Alright, here's a special land actually that I might want to trade in at some point. It'll give me 1 of any color that I want for the chosen creature that I want to cast. And then the rare. Search for Escanta. Not quite what I'm looking for. Next. Repeating Barrage. That one might be cool to do damage over and over to my opponent. Did you see that animation there? I just cracked 1 more uncommon wild card. I could use that. And the rare is Ripjaw Raptor. That might be a fun creature to add later. Here's another uncommon wild card. Here's a common wild card. So you see you get them also simply by cracking. Ooh, Mythic Rare. Beautiful. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And again, I did not plan this. This is just the luck of the draw. Perfect. And let's see what else. Common wild card. Sunbird's Invocation. And the last pack. I got a rare wild card, nice, from cracking enough boosters. And lastly, Deadeye Tracker. Okay, cool, so I got exactly what I was looking for. I'll go back to my decks. I'll go back to my new deck. Actually, let me name it. And I'll put some cool art right here. You can drag and drop. I'll have the Otepec Huntmaster. Alright, and here we go. One more wild card for my Carnage Tyrant. Perfect. So I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 unique cards, 36 in total, plus my 24 lands. I've dealt with Red Theory, and I've got a deck. In the sideboard, then I've got enough wildcards for the card I was missing in the sideboard of Broken Bond. So I'll add those to the sideboard. I'll add the second plummet for the 4. And here I am at 14 out of 15. I could add one more Fight with Fire, and I've got the full 15 cards in my sideboard. So there's a complete deck. Very nice. Let me show you one more cool trick, and then we'll do a little playtesting. Let me click Done first to save what I've got. I'll go back to Edit. And here's the trick. I got these mountains and forests randomly given to me, but I'd like to bling out these basic lands in my own way. Here's the trick. Search for the basic land you want, mountain, press Enter, go to the filters and click Reset. Now it'll give you the variety of possible printings for mountains. Pick the mountain that no one else has to really impress people. Here's another cool Ixalan one, a beautiful M19, the Cityscape Guilds of Ravnica, or the Dominaria one featuring the Weatherlight. I'm going to go with this Dominaria one. I think it looks very pleasant. So I'll add one. It adds ones over here. Then I'll have to remove the other one. And add 10 back. Next I'll do the same thing with forest. Type the name of the basic land, go to the filters, reset, and now I've got all the printings. Ooh, I like this one here, very verdant. This one's really nice too. Yeah, really nice. I like that one. Really nice forests. I cannot pick. So many good ones to choose from. I'm going to go with this one. So same thing, add one, remove the other ones. And now I've got my blinged out basic lands. Next up for the upgrades are eventually to get enough rares for Rootbound Crag. Actually, I might as well go for it now, so I'll trade in another rare and remove one of the Timber Gorges. Ready to playtest.
Alright, so we built a deck using our various theories. Let's go try out a match. I'll go back to home. I'll play. I'm going to go with a competitive play so I can do best of 3 with sideboard. And switch over to my brand new deck and let's check out a match. Now again, my theory here. Now again here, my video might not guarantee you becoming a pro, but it's still a lifelong process to get good at Magic. Hopefully these theories that I put forward to you and the practice that you will have will get you where you need to go. Alright, so I'll play first. What do I have here? 2 mana. I don't have the Lana or Elf. I would love to have it turn 1, but I'd get a Druid here. And if I get a red mana, I'll start to get that over to my big creatures faster. Now, I don't quite like this hand. I wish it had some red mana too. Unfortunately, what I've often seen is if you mulligan, it actually is worse the next time. But I'll give it a shot. Let me mulligan. See, that, unfortunately, yeah, this is a worse hand. This is a worse hand. Let me try mulligan one more time. And still a bad hand. So unfortunately, this is just something that I really think the Magic algorithm needs to be fixed. Mulliganing, if you get a bad hand, mulliganing is going to make it worse. So we gotta stay with this, but I'm not happy with it at all. We get an elf, which we can't use. We'll keep it, because we don't get it until next turn. But let's be positive and see what we can do with this. Alright, so I'm dealing with black decks so far. In black I might see some kill spells, so that elf might not be around very long. But okay, not dead yet. My acceleration might actually be working, because I'm going to be at 5 mana, which will let me go in with my Monster Sword next turn if none of my critters are dead. Alright, very good. They spent their mana. With 3 black mana, they might have a murder, but we've got enough for our Carnage Tyrant already. So there's our bomb. Deal with that. 5/6. Hexproof, so it will not be killed with any murder spell or anything like that. Death Baron, so they may be going with some sort of zombie theme, some Orzhov, black and white. Alright, well, we don't need the Huntmaster really, but we've got a Monstrosaur. Attack, except for my Mana Dork. And there's already a 7/6 and a 5/5. These bombs are going off. They're going to lose their Death Baron, which is probably very important to them. And no, okay, they're going to take a big old hit here. Because what are they going to do next turn? They cannot murder my Tyrant. They might be able to murder or cast down the Monstrosaur, but I'm still going to come in with another 7/6 attack. Now, Death Touch would bring down my Tyrant, but I'm not seeing another zombie yet. Maybe, and even if they take down my Tyrant, it's got Trample. Well, we're going to throw in a bunch of walls, a bunch of defenders. Rated Loxodon. That was not a good play on them because I'm coming in with a 7/6 and a 5/5, and no matter what, they've all got trample, so good game. The Loxodon came in to watch everything die. So okay, I'm happy with that. I had to mulligan pretty badly, but we came back. Now, sideboarding here. I don't think I really need to add any more direct damage. I never needed the lightning strike. And I'd be comfortable going up to 65 cards or trading out things. But let's say we'll keep it as is. I didn't see any enchantments to deal with or flying creatures yet, so they seem to be kind of all over the place in their deck, because they had the Death Baron, and they had that one Veteran or whatever that let them draw cards, and then a big old Loxodon. Okay, opponent goes first. So here, okay, cool. I've got a lot of acceleration going on here, so we'll keep with that. Turn 1, Forest, and Elf. Another Elf, okay. Well, I'm going to be able to get into the Monstrosaur or Reggie pretty fast, it seems. Yeah, no play for them. Okay, well, if we bring in another elf, well, let's go with the Horizon, because then we can make our elf stronger. So we've got some acceleration there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 mana coming in next turn. So there's a Regisaur. and Mountain, Regisaur, which will then give me an extra dinosaur which has haste. They'll have to gang up to kill it, which they don't. Okay, next turn, I could do the Monstrosaur, I could do a Rabid Bite. Ooh, okay, Demon of Catastrophes, that's good. I think what we'll do here is... let's go in with the Monstrosaur, and then attacking with a bunch of dinosaurs. They'll kill one of them, probably the 5/5, yep. So we've got 7 more damage to them, down to 10. I can afford a big ol' 6 damage to me. I'm gonna hold off. Okay, so I can... first of all, we'll Rabid Bite Danitha. So she's gone. Then we can bring in a Druid and then attack with these two. So Reggie's gone. The 3 more... oh, actually the 3/3's gone, huh? Okay, that's fine. So your Mentor's gone. I'll trample on that. Two Knights, that's fine. Holding back your Demon? Oh, okay, coming at me, that's fine. And so here I'll just bring everything out. And they'll probably team up to take out my Reggie. And then I'll get 1 hit in with the Druid. But then I've got plenty of mana for my next creatures. And with my Otepec, I can give it haste. So a 1/1 that becomes a 2/2. Getting an attack. Sure. Rabid Bite here. Oh, actually, yes, I can Rabid Bite with my Elf. Target creature you control, target creature you don't control. So here we will go all in, except for 1 to hold off that zombie that will come. Alright, so if he attacks with a 6 and a 2, I can block the 2. Whoops. Well, sometimes it looks like you're gonna get it, but they pull it out of nowhere. Okay, so we know they've got a demon, so that would be a plummet. Now again, I'm safe putting up to 65, so I'll take that to 64. Now I've got something against that demon. So good job, Physics. You had He had a bomb that I couldn't deal with. Okay, so I've got here some lightning strikes. That'll be good to take out some of those creatures. Forest for the elf. Next turn mountain, maybe a lightning strike something. There's Carnage. Alright, History of Benali is going to create a few knights that might give me problems. So I'll take that one out. There's a Monstrosaur. Next turn is the Carnage Tyrant. So they'll get 2 zombies, but still will go through. 2 zombies, then if they bring in their Death Baron, they've got a Death Touch. So 4/3. Alright, so there's the demon. There's another Monstrosaur. We'll bring in our Otapek to get haste next time. We're coming in with a 7/6, 5/5, and 5/5. Good game. Alright, they've got a completely empty board, but they took out my Tyrant, and I don't know what they're going to do against 4 creatures. They come in with a tapped pool and another tapped pool. I don't think this is going to work out for them if they bring in a... okay, well, I guess that's it.
Okay, concession. All right, so there we go. That was after building. We got the full range, best of 3. We didn't get to our plummet, but there we go. In this archetype, I was able to apply B.R.E.A.D theory to get some bomb cards, removal cards, aggro cards, evasion cards, and avoid the duds. We then created a deck with 9 unique cards, 4 of each, and in this case, we got a victory. Hopefully, the strategy I looked at here will help you. Give it a shot. Oh, we earned a little gold and another card. Oh, there's another Monstrosaur. Well, that's going to help fill up my vault. But hopefully the strategies we talked about here are something you can apply. I'd love to hear what you've come up with in the comments, ways to improve it. I'm going to put this deck list in the description. Don't forget to check that out. Check the description, check the links, check my Patreon, follow me on Twitter, and thanks for watching the video. Be sure to pass it on. This has been VM Campos. See you next time.